terms of PPC, how it's going to be impacted?
So I think the biggest shift that's going to happen is
For retargeting, is there any other way other than DSP?
the biggest trick with sponsored display views remarketing is
How do you integrate long tail keywords?
and there's an easy way to add those as new keywords and create campaigns.
What's kind of the best one that you want to tell the audience?
Ecom Squeezed podcast.
Welcome to Ecom Squeezed. I'm your host, Sebastian, founder of Retail-Outsource, and today we are discussing AI and Amazon PPC with one of the most innovative thinkers in Amazon space, Ritu Java. Ritu is the CEO of PPC Ninja and is a top gun in advertising industry. Not only she have mastered Amazon PPC, she also have building personal suite of 100 plus AI-powered tools to streamline processes and to supercharge productivity. Welcome to the show, Ritu.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great. Could you just give us a background about yourself to start with, please?
Very quickly, I used to be an Etsy seller about 15 years ago, and then I was very enamored by the e-commerce world, and I decided to deepen my understanding and do a course in data science. And then I stepped into Amazon, and I love data, I love PPC, I love AI, and so I'm playing on all those planes right now, and it's very exciting times for anyone who's in this space.
And you have Amazon PPC agency as well as the software as well, right? So could you just give us a little bit about the software that you have, please?
Yeah, so it's so we have a software which we started in 2017, and then we have an agency that we started in 2020, and we've been serving 7, 8, and 9-figure sellers through the agency. On the software side, it's self-serve, so it doesn't matter what size you are, you can use the software for PPC optimization. The only thing I would say is that our software is good for someone who knows PPC. It's not someone who is hoping that the software will do all the thinking for it. There's a bunch of intelligent decisions that you'll need to make, but the software does all the heavy lifting and gives you bid recommendations daily, gives you budget recommendations, placement modifier, etc. But at the end of the day, if you don't know PPC, then it might be difficult to use our software. So just sharing what our, ideal target audience is for the software. But it's an amazing software. We use it at our agency for all of our clients.
Great. And in terms of the software, let's start with the funnel, right? So you have the top, the middle, and the bottom, right? Like awareness, consideration, or conversion. So in that case, how do you structure the campaigns? Does that done manually? I know you do a lot of AI, so that's why I'm asking you, is that AI involved as well in that stage?
So I'll speak from the agency side of things because as an agency, we are very intentional about which campaigns to create. We don't create every single campaign when we launch a campaign. We try to be intentional about it based on people's tolerance for experiments. Some of our clients want to go whole hog. They will start with all the campaigns, all the placements, full funnel approach. Whereas some clients will be more kind of strategic about like just starting with ranking campaigns first and then slowly building it up or adding auto campaigns later on. So it's a case by case. There's no AI here. This is all human effort. Like I do believe that PPC has two sides to it. One that is very good for automation and one that is only good for humans to take action on, because the automation side can be done by software. Those are things like bid optimization, budget optimization, placement optimization, numbers. Basically, you can put rules and those numbers can be activated. But the thinking, the strategizing, the creative side, the copy, all of that thinking is something that only humans do best. So that's why we use a combination of human and software. Yeah.
Okay, great. So in terms of you mentioned about some are involved, AI are doing it, and what type of what is the percentage of AI involvement if we take that a normal 7-figure seller account?
Yeah, so we use AI for many different aspects of our business. The number one use case for AI is to create automation tools. And the way we do that is that we ask AI to generate SQL code or to generate app script, Google App Script, which will then read data from data sources like the ad data or the organic data, and then it will build. So the AI helps us to build those mini apps or those micro apps that will read the data, process it, and give you information that you can consume, and take action on it. So that's where the AI comes in. We don't use AI to tell us what to do when it comes to ads. We use AI to generate tools that then tell us where things are going wrong. For example, anomaly detection, or let's say keyword negation, which we do with the help of n-gram analysis. So all of those tools we build with the help of AI. So ultimately, it's like a combination of the two.
Okay, great. And I just have a follow-up question for that. On the awareness stage, is there any specific type of campaign that you suggest?
Yeah, so I think, okay, first of all, let's talk about awareness for what. Like, let's say there's
like brand awareness, they are launching
yeah,
for the
yeah.
first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when it comes to awareness, there's different ways to look at awareness. Is it like awareness about the product, or is it awareness about the solution? That would be the first way of distinguishing between, what type of campaigns we should create. If it's awareness about the product, that means the person already knows that there's a solution out there. They're only looking for the best product that will solve their problem, right? But if they don't even know that the solution exists, then they are solution unaware, which means that you have to start even higher up in the funnel to start educating them, right? So the ad types will be different in these two cases. So I'll give you an example. One of our clients has a capsule or a tablet that if you throw that into a glass of water, it becomes a protein shake. Now, we normally don't think that something like that exists even. So we're not going to search on Amazon and say tablet for protein shake or protein shake tablet, because the concept doesn't exist in their mind. So it has to start with education even prior to the search demand being present on Amazon, right? So it depends on where that product falls. Is it product awareness or is it solution awareness? The strategies will be different. If we're talking about product awareness, then there's a search demand that already exists. People will type the words like back massager or whatever, and they will find a bunch of products that serve that query's response. And so then there we're talking about bottom of funnel brand awareness, where we're just trying to be more visible. And so in that case, we could probably use like a sponsored, actually any of the ad types can serve that purpose. As long as we know what the long tail keywords are, we can use any of those ad types to create awareness about our product. And then the main thing that does the selling is your main image. Like your main image is basically showing what the product can do very quickly. So I think the most important thing is outside the scope of PPC. It's more on the listing side, like making sure that your images are dialed in and that your title completely describes the product really well. And that's when PPC actually starts to work. That makes sense.
That's a really detailed answer. Thank you for that. I was reading Kevin's post, LinkedIn. It's about Rufus and how to structure your keywords and the use case as just you mentioned. So if you put Rufus to the equation, does it change anything, when you plan for the awareness side?
Yeah, so I think since Rufus came out, I think Amazon is in a data collection phase. They're not really penalizing anyone yet on, things that are missing, and they're not prioritizing, or let's say the keyword ranking game hasn't changed yet. But it will, I'm pretty sure it will, because right now people's behaviors are changing. Like what used to be like a search driven by keywords is now getting replaced by prompts. Right, so you're replacing keywords with prompts. So Rufus is making it easy because you're just seeing a bunch of prompts that are already typed out. You don't even need to think of them. All you're doing is clicking on them because you're quickly reading and say, oh yeah, I have that question. Click, 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 click. And then you find out about the product. Imagine that behavior has transformed so much over the past year or one and a half years since we got introduced to ChatGPT. I don't use Google anymore. Like I don't use Google so much for searching anymore because I just go to ChatGPT and I say, I describe my need in a lot of detail, and then I get the response that caters to that. So what I'm trying to say is that people's behaviors is changing and we are becoming more dependent on some smart LLM to tell us what the right path is. So the more, adoption of LLMs in general happens, the more Rufus will become mainstream because our behaviors would have changed by then, and we would go straight to the prompt, right? So the question becomes, how do we prepare ourselves, or how do we prepare our listings for that event? Well, I think there's a lot of people already talking about how, scraping Rufus prompts already is a good idea. Just going through those prompts and trying to see what kind of things is it prompting, because Rufus has deep knowledge about your product, but then it also has deep knowledge about other people's products and their Q&As and their reviews, their negatives, their positives, all of that. So first start with your own, I would say, start with your own product detail page and try to see what prompts are showing up, and then go wider and see what your competitors have on their side, and basically try to reply to that, to respond to that through your listing. And that's the cycle that needs to happen now, so that when Amazon switches gears and starts to make Rufus more mainstream, right now it's just tucked away in the corner. What if that replaces the search bar? What if there is no other way other than Rufus? Then it'll be an overnight switch or something like that. And then we lose our ranking, we lose all the advantages that we built up. So it's better to be prepared and also to be aware, keep your ears to the ground and see where is this heading? Because no one really knows. We don't really have a crystal ball,
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. So it's not happening now. It's going to happen in the future. In terms of PPC, how it's going to be impacted? Should we make any changes? For example, this is an odd one. You mentioned about prompts, right? Can we integrate those prompts to, like within PPC, like a long tail keyword? What are the options that we have to make most out of it?
Yeah, so I think the biggest shift that's going to happen is from keywords to audiences, right? So I think that if you can have a solid product targeting strategy, because that's not going away, right? If you are targeting competitors that are very similar to yours, then you know that someone who's visiting your competitors' pages is already bought into the concept and they're already looking for products in your price range. So you can always anticipate that, and you can set up your ads such that that traffic comes to you. Like, you can be more aggressive about placing your ads on their pages through sponsored display ads or through sponsored products or even sponsored brand ads. Video ads can be placed on your competitors' pages. So I would say product targeting is going to become more important, because we won't know how the keywords play out eventually. First of all, the CPCs are going up and up, but then there's also this thing of whether keywords will be mainstream or will prompts be mainstream, right? So we know that product targeting is safe for now, so you can future-proof yourself a little bit with that. And the other thing that a lot of people are probably not doing is audience targeting. And audience targeting, I know why they're not doing it. It's expensive. It's not cheap, and a lot of the sponsored display ads that go after targets are so broad. Those targets are audiences that are so broad, and there's no way to negate them or negate sub-segments of those. So it becomes like a little wasteful, like you're just throwing money out there and not getting results. So you're not getting, the returns that you want. So I think a lot of people who have access to, let's say, DSP, for example, will be able to do a little bit more micro-targeting. But I think sponsored display will also get better. There's some new things that they're recently adding, some micro-targets or micro audiences that weren't there before. So I would love if people would pay attention to that and maybe just revisit the audiences that are newly introduced, so that they can test things out while there's still time.
Okay, great. And regarding, the awareness stage still, right? Do you look into outside of Amazon, like, for example, Google ads or Facebook ads to drive traffic from outside? Maybe it's cheaper, or I don't know. So what's your opinion on that, to drive traffic from outside?
Yeah, honestly, okay, so let's talk about Google and Facebook separately.
Sure.
So the problem with Google, there is a positive and a negative to both, right? So okay, let's talk about the good sides. Google basically drives signals to Amazon, right? And Amazon likes to see external traffic coming in. Now, that doesn't have to be Google. It could be anything. It could be Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, whatever traffic that can come from outside. Amazon rewards that. It gives you a little bit of relevance boost. But the thing with Google is that the conversion rates aren't the best, right? They're not the same as conversion rates on Amazon, right? So your Google ads are going to be worse ROAS than Amazon ads, obviously, because people aren't in the frame of mind to buy just yet. They're just looking around on Google. They're just looking. So what we've seen is that a lot of the clients that we've helped with Google Ads end up giving up on it, because they try it for, let's say, 3 to 6 months. don't see the results might get a little bit of kickback from Amazon with associates. What is it called? The referral bonus, 10% referral that Amazon gives
Yeah.
you. But that still doesn't cover the cost of the effectiveness. So I think the only effectiveness from Google Ads is in terms of like boosting your ranking, but that's also a little bit of a generic thing because you cannot micro target a keyword and say, okay, I want to boost my ranks for this keyword, right? You can just send traffic to that page, and whatever keywords that page ranks for or that product ranks for anyway will get a little bit of an overall lift or an overall boost. That's the extent to which the Google Ads can help with overall ranking. When it comes to Facebook, I think it's more around audiences. Like you're bringing a certain type of audience that believes in certain things, and those people are looking for certain types of products. And so I think that depending on the product type, those ads could work. Especially if there's a little bit of an educational aspect to it, like you're doing the education through the initial ad, and once they come in, then they see the product and they're convinced and they buy. So there's a little bit of that. Now there's other sources also, right? Like TikTok. Of course, we don't know how it's going to play out. TikTok will play out, but if the product type is such that it has the element of virality in it, which means that someone can, you can create like a TikTok post or a TikTok ad that says, oh my God, I saw this and it did this and this is the result. So if it has that element of saying, oh my God, this is so cool, then it has a place in helping the overall flywheel. I think those ads should be run, or those kinds of efforts should be made. But if it's just a plain old AAA battery, then you don't need a TikTok ad for that. You don't need external traffic for that. It's just demand based, and it's completely, it's probably better to do it just on Amazon.
Great. And regarding retargeting, you mentioned about DSP, right? For retargeting, is there any other way other than DSP that, for example, a small seller who is just starting up can use?
Yeah, so you can always use, you can use sponsored display views remarketing. We do views remarketing for our own products as well as our competitors. Anyone who's visited those pages but has not yet purchased, you can target those. The biggest trick with sponsored display views remarketing is the look back window. Like, is it a 7-day look back, 14, 30, 365? So be careful about what you choose, because some products have a very short cycle of purchase. Like from the point they discover the product and they buy it, maybe that window is really short because you don't need to overthink it. You just buy it. To, some products need a little bit more research, something that is more like an equipment or something that stays lives for like 1 or 2 or 3 years. You'd be a little bit more careful, especially if the price point is high. You'll be a little bit more careful in your research. So the look back window needs to be a little bit longer than if you're just selling, something very impulse buy kind of thing. So there, your window should be shorter, 7 days or something.
7 days, yeah. They might already purchase, right? So there's no.
Yes.
That's a good point, yeah. And I just want to move on to the software that you offer. What's special about PPC Ninja that stand out basically? I know you use a lot of processes using AI, and you automate. Actually, I learned a lot from you, seeing a lot of videos and stuff, and we use that internally as well. For hiring people and stuff like that. So I know that you use a lot of automation in your process. So what's special about your software?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different things that our software does. So first of all, it gives you bid recommendations daily, right? And I'll explain that a little bit. Second thing it does is day parting. So day parting is the ability to turn campaigns off when people are not buying, or they're buying but it's too expensive and the conversion rates are bad. Our software helps to turn off ads in those bad hours. Right. And then we also do keyword rank tracking. So you can actually upload your list of keywords and it will start tracking it for daily and weekly and so on. So I'll tell you where we're different from a lot of other tools on the market. So when it comes to bid optimization, our bid recommendations are based on data sufficiency, which is a concept that, we're only acting when there's enough data. If there's not enough data, we'll allow it to, be at the same bid till we have enough data, right? So this means that we don't look at fixed time periods. Like we're not saying, okay, in the last 7 days, how many clicks did it have? If it had 7 clicks, then kill it. No, we don't do that. Instead, we look at When was the last time the bid was changed? Since then, how many clicks have happened? So we use three events. We use last bid change or last sale date or the last 90 days. And then we start accumulating all the data since that day for each keyword, and then intelligently coming up with the right timing for that bid to be changed. So every single day we have a list of keywords with their bid recommendations, those keywords that are ready based on, okay, now they have data sufficiency. So now they're ready for a bid change, and how much that bid changes is dependent on whatever target ACoS you have set at one of three levels, either the account level target ACoS or the SKU level target ACoS or the campaign level target ACoS. So let's say your campaign has different goals than your SKU. So for example, if it's a ranking campaign and you want to go after 60% ACoS, you can do it. Even though the SKU in general has only a 10% target ACoS, you can have two different target ACoSs, and our system will successively kind of give precedence to the lowest level, which is campaign. So campaign gets precedence over SKU, SKU gets precedence over account level target ACoS. And so based on those target ACoSs, we can generate the right bid for whatever data has been accumulated, and we present that daily. Now you can accept that manually if you want, so there's complete transparency, or you can just say automated, which means it'll automatically accept all the recommendations that were populated. So you have a choice, which a lot of softwares don't give you, because either it's a complete black box or it's a complete manual. So ours is a hybrid solution which allows you the best of both worlds. It's great for agencies, it's great for people who are consultants who are managing multiple clients through our system, and yeah, it just works beautifully. Then the second one I said was day parting. Day parting, we do day parting with campaign pausing and not keyword bid adjustments. We don't think that keyword bid adjustments are the right approach to doing day parting, and the reason is that once you change the bid on a keyword, it actually goes and changes the placement of that keyword, because a high bid generally associates with top of search and a low bid generally associates with product pages or lower rest of search, right? So if we're changing the bids, then essentially it goes and impacts not the performance at that placement, but it entirely changes your placement. That's disconcerting, because here we're trying so hard to be stable and we're trying to be precise about our keyword bids, and then we go into day parting with keyword bid values. That doesn't seem right to us. So we instead decided that we'll instead pause campaigns in those hours of the day when the performance is not good. So that's about the day parting part. Keyword rank tracking, how we are unique. The biggest unique factor is that we are keyword first, not ASIN first, which means that let's say you have 5 ASINs that share the same keywords. You don't have to, you enter that keyword 5 times and say, for this ASIN, this keyword, for this other ASIN, the same keyword, for this other ASIN, the same keyword. No, we just put the keyword in and it figures out all the ASINs that keyword is relevant for. And so it simplifies your task because you just enter keywords, and then it in the summary table, which is generated in Looker Studio, you can actually see each keyword and all the positions that each of your SKUs have for that keyword in the like in a color coded kind of table. So you can kind of see the progression of colors from red to green in that. So that's our keyword rank tracking.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So yeah, those are some of the features, top features. There's so many more.
Great. Means I'm interested in the keyword tracking and bid optimization on the placement side, but let me start with the keyword tracking. So does it track like organic and the PPC side and show both of them, or how does it work?
Yeah, so organic is the main. Of course, it tracks PPC also, but the problem is that Amazon doesn't always give. So this is a common problem with all PPC rank tracking tools, that Amazon hides ads from bots. So if it's a bot that's scraping the page, because that's the only way you can get that information, right? So if you're sending a lot of bots, the page doesn't show sponsored ads to a bot. And so you miss that information. So human sees it. Yes, you can actually see where the position of the ad is, but if a bot sees it, it's not going to get the right information. So we don't rely on the PPC position. We're only looking at organic for the most part in the agency. I'm talking about from my perspective. I'm not looking at sponsored positions that much. I'm looking mostly at organic, because that's what, at the end of the day, that's what really matters.
Exactly. As long as there's a heat map and we can see it straight away, where the keywords stand. That's fantastic. And I want to ask you, this is kind of a tricky one. Is there any way for us to know that, regarding if you change the bid of a keyword, you mentioned about the placement, right? So there should be a range for the bid adjustment, then it falls to a different placement. So can we know in any way, which is the correct range for that placement for that specific keyword?
I wish I had an answer to that question, but I don't. It's too tricky because, even throughout the day, the keyword bid and the placement,
Very true.
mapping changes. So I don't have the answer to that question, honestly.
Yeah, it's quite tricky. I know it's,
Tricky,
things
yeah.
change so fast, and even
Yes.
with the software, it will be very hard to get that range. And also, I want to ask about the seasonality. Some products, are seasonal, right? So how the software will compensate and figure it out and adjust all those stuff?
Yeah, like I said, you need a human in the loop. This is not a
Okay.
software that you can just set it and forget it, and it knows when the season happens and when the season ended and stuff like that. So, as a, as an agency, what we normally do is when we know that there's seasonality, then we try to exclude the seasonality spikes because those end up being outliers, and so we will spend a bunch of days after the season is over just ignoring some of the recommendations that come in because we know it's based on more recent data, and what we need is like long-term data, right? So we tend to do those manual things ourselves and be intelligent about it because the software is simply looking at a period of time rather than the seasonality, and it's not aware of the seasonality either. Now, the other thing to say is that during the season, if you want a different results, the best controls we have are to do with target ACOS. If you want to change your target ACOS during those days, then everything works fine because then you can just make those adjustments and
Very true.
It'll just take care of try to target those targets instead of trying to target a different one. So I would say those are the two ways in which we can kind of reset it. Another kind of manual step we do is that right after an event or seasonal event is over, we can actually manually reset the bid change by just incrementing the bid by 1 cent. So then it resets the timer and it starts looking at it from that point onwards. And so then everything becomes fine again.
Great. And I want to ask you about search query performance report that we have on Amazon, right? Does it integrate with the software, or the software already has some system in place to pull those data and take action, or at least with the human interaction?
Yeah, so search query performance unfortunately does not have an API yet. Even though we've been asking Amazon for a long time, they don't have an API. So there is no automated way of doing it. But we have, we actually have a Looker Studio report that, if you upload your your SQP ASIN-based reports for any number of months, it'll just combine everything together and give you a really good visual of how things have trended over time, or what is the mapping of search terms to different ASINs, because it will combine across all ASINs and it'll kind of give you a map of where a particular SKU stands with a particular keyword, and that mapping also is visible. So we have that solution that we use, but it's based in Looker Studio and it requires an upload from our side. We use some automation from our side to make that process faster for us, but most people don't have access to that.
Okay, got it. And in terms of the software that you have, I want to ask the long tail keywords, right? How do you integrate long tail keywords? Is there any way that the system will find it, or again, the human interaction is there to find those newly formed keywords?
Yeah, so we have a whole view dedicated to keyword discovery. So we have keyword discovery from, search terms that come from keywords or search terms that come from targets. So both of those get captured in the system, and it's there's an easy way to add those as new keywords and create campaigns with them from within the software. We also offer exports, which means every view can be exported and downloaded, and you can look at it offline and you can take decisions offline and do bulk operations. But most of the work can be done within the software itself.
Okay, great. And I heard, I saw from one of your videos, you have 100-point checklist for PPC.
Oh, yeah.
I think you mentioned on
Yes.
Amazon Accelerate, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
That was my topic at Amazon Accelerate. Yeah, so we do have a 100-point checklist where, we're looking at different things from different angles, and we're just basically scoring it to see how whether we're meeting those or not. And most of these have converted to SOPs for our team internally. But if your audience is interested, I can send you the 100-point checklist.
That'd be fantastic. I'll put the link in the show notes in that case. And also one last thing, two more questions actually. You have that dedicated section for Japan on your website. Is there any specific reason that you want to focus on Japan?
Yeah. So, yeah, I think one historical reason is that I used to live in Japan. I'm also a permanent resident
Okay.
of Japan. So I have that
Oh,
history background and I understand the Japanese market. I lived there for 17 years actually, so I can speak the
17.
language.
Wow.
Yeah, 17 years. So I know the Japanese market and I also know the language. So I have a team that speaks in native Japanese. So the reason why I think Japan has some unique opportunities is because it's the fourth largest marketplace on Amazon. Even though we don't realize it, it's the fourth biggest. Yeah. So there's US, there's Germany versus UK, depending on sometimes UK is ahead, sometimes Germany, and then there's Japan, right? So I would say that, if there's a seller who's already selling in another market, the only extension into Japan would require localization. And that's not such a big it's not that hard to do the localization. We also do the localization, by the way. So we can do localization, we can do running the campaigns in Japanese language and all of that stuff. But the opportunity is there, Now it depends on which category we're talking about and whether you have margins or not. There are successful Amazon sellers who have expanded to Japan and have seen some good results. But it's best to do kind of like a product market fit analysis first before you enter into the Japanese market because it's pretty unique, that's why we offer some of those services to help help people expand to Japan. But mostly we focus on the localization and the PPC aspect of that whole process.
Yeah, we have the same experience. Japan has been ignored, kind of. When we
Yes.
say Japan, it's kind of a small, tiny island. Nobody will
Yeah.
think as the fourth biggest one in terms of
Yes.
revenue and
Yeah,
sales.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
my last question will be, you do automate a lot of processes, right? So what's kind of the best one that you want to tell the audience? Anything
Oh,
maybe
okay.
within PPC or anything, a workflow that you can take it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I think I can think of one. So I'll explain how the automation mindset is within PPC Ninja. We are a Google shop. Like other than our own software, PPC Ninja, we use Google for everything. So we have Google Sheets we use extensively. We use Google Looker Studio for reporting purposes. We use Google BigQuery for databases and data warehouses. If we have these three, we have data sitting in these data warehouses that we combine from different sources. Like we have organic data coming from one place, we have ad data coming from one place, and we are stitching them together in this warehouse. Now it's easy for us to write a simple app script, which is Google's coding platform, right? You
Yeah.
can write an app script that can read from these different sources and give you alerts. So you can create your own alerts. So that's what we've been doing. We just recently we created an alert very specifically for one client of ours who has a requirement that their tacos should not go above 30% and should not go below 16%. So that's the window right now. If a human has to keep watching this every single day, it's too time consuming and it's impossible to do it, to check whether it's done, not done. So we created a simple automation for this person, for the account manager, where it sends an alert to her email whenever one of these two criteria is not met, like the tacos is not within or above. And it just comes as an email to her and to everybody else who is on the team. And that helps us to, quickly go and take action whenever that criteria is reached. So like this, we have a bunch of criteria that we can set up for our clients, different aspects of, things that you want to watch for that Normally, humans go watching for that, but we don't need humans to keep watching all the time. You just set up these alert system. You can have 20 alerts, 30 alerts, 40 alerts, different types of alerts for different types of situations. And so this was created with the help of AI, but for Google Apps Script, and it runs on a daily basis. It just reads the data and sends the alerts whenever the alert is triggered.
Yeah, great. And you mentioned about AI for scripting, right?
Yes.
So we have, ChatGPT, we have Gemini, we have Claude. If you want to pick one from those lists, which one will you pick for scripting?
Yeah, I would pick Claude now. I used to
Okay.
do everything in ChatGPT, but now I've realized that Claude is better, especially for coding projects. It's much better. It understands your needs much better in a lot of depth because it has some inbuilt reasoning as to why someone is asking for a particular thing in a particular way. So it'll do an extra bit of thinking around that. And it also assumes that you may not know coding yourself, which is why it's a little bit more reasonable and gentle. And it also asks follow-up questions at the end of every interaction with some options, already pre-curated options. Would you want me to do this, or this? So that's kind of helpful because then I'm not stuck. I don't have to think of the next step. Claude has already thought through and has given that to me. So that's my choice at this point.
It's great. It's been nice to talk with you, Ritu. And
Yeah, thank
where
you.
can people find your website, and if you can provide some details, so any offers that you want to provide,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn, my full name, RITU JAVA. On LinkedIn, I'm pretty active there. In addition, our website is ppcninja.com or ppc-ninja.com. The -ninja.com is dedicated to my AI newsletter. So if anybody is interested in the AI newsletter, just go to ppc-ninja.com and you can sign up for it. And it's free. It's a weekly newsletter. Other than that, if any one of your listeners is interested in a PPC audit by our agency, the only criteria we have is that you have at least 20,000 in monthly ad sales, and we'll be happy to do like a free audit for you and go pretty deep and give you some analysis whether you go with our agency or not. Where it's a no obligations kind of audit.
Yeah, great. And regarding the newsletter, means I have it, and there's always some golden nuggets inside it. So highly
Thank you.
recommend subscribing for it. And you also won that hack, right, from Kevin, seller hacks.
Yes.
So yeah. There are a lot about Ritu, but we don't have time to go through each one of it. Thanks a lot, Ritu, for coming over here.
Thank you so
and
much.
sharing
Yeah,
the
thanks.
knowledge.
Absolutely appreciate it. Thank you.